Once again, it's time for another Bob the Sign Man episode. Now on to the show.
Hello everybody, welcome to this exciting episode of Bob the Sign Man. So today I was making some oversized speed limit signs. Normal size that we use is 24 by 30, but for somehow the residents of this area think if you make a speed limit sign bigger, people are going to slow down. We know that's not going to happen, but anyways, we're going to go ahead and appease them. So I laid these out. They're 36 by 30, and I had a sign blank. I have about 10 sign blanks that are the 30 by 36, and I measured one of them, and it was 1.5 inch radius. I just wasn't thinking, and I went ahead and I printed out 6 of these. Well, every other blank that I have now is 1.875 inch radius. And to measure your radiuses is really simple. I have this guide that I use. I have the 1.5 inches, 3/4, 1/2 inch, 3 inch. I printed it out, laminated it. If you want your own copy, just go to www.bobthesignman.com and look up resources or something like that. It's on there. You can download it, print it, laminate it. So all you do is you just hold it up to your radius corner and you get the radius. This is 1.875. Should have done that with the rest of the sign blank, but I didn't. So you might think, well, you know, it doesn't matter much. So this is one that I fixed. And you know how it follows the radius contour around. And you know, the sign man's motto is perfect is just going to have to be good enough for today. So I can't let that little bad border affect the sign. So I'll show you how my little workaround for that. And you might think, well, that's just crazy to do all that extra work, but you know what? Quality goes in before the name goes on. Let me show you how I did that. Okay, I got my sign blank, 1.875 inch radius, and this is laid out as a 1.5, so it's not going to look good on the corners, and I'll show you why. I'm going to go ahead and line these up. I trimmed mine out pretty close to where I don't have any trimming hardly to do anymore, just around the edges. So, and I make sure I'm careful that I don't have any silver showing. Silver means the sign blanks. I don't like to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and sheet this one. Apply the reflective material with the speed limit to the aluminum sign blank. Okay, now I'll just trim up the corners. Okay, now I'll show you what the difference is why that's going to bother me. A lot of people think, well, that's not a big deal. That shouldn't bother you. Well, it bothers the sign man. Okay, so here's what the deal is. Okay, you can see the radius, how it follows the contour of the corner of the sign. Perfect. Over here, you don't have that continuous gap around there, the 1/2 inch gap that you're supposed to have around there. So I'll show you how I fix that. Okay, I have these pre-cut radius corners. These are 3/4 inch wide, and it's a 1.875 inch radius versus the 1/2 inch radius. So what I do, these are getting kind of old. I haven't used them in a long time, so I'm thinking of making some new ones, but I'm going to make them out of a different material. So what I'll do is I'll place them on each corner. I can still see through the paper there, and there'll be a little corner around there. I'm going to go ahead and sheet all 4 corners, and I'll be right back and I'll show you how I'm going to fix that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my graffiti remover. Now this is only going to work, this little hack here is only going to work if you digitally print them, and I did not put the graffiti film with the ultraviolet protection on top of it. So if I did put this out in the field right now, it would fade. But I want to clean up the bottom first before I put the ink here. So before I put on the reflective protection. So what I'm going to do is I just take my finger, put a little dab of graffiti remover. This stuff I use is called Wipe Off. I get it from a company called Sunrise. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, so this ink will act like graffiti, and the remover will just remove that ink like that. There you go. There's your radius. So I'll do that on all 4 of my corners. You can see how that just takes that stuff off. As you can see how the contour, it doesn't follow the contour very good. So I'm just going to go ahead and help it out a little bit and remove some of that ink that was on there. All right, there we go. I got my radiuses all fixed. And instead of just letting it go, I know if when I drive by it, because this is on one of my routes on my way home every day. And if I'm going to drive by that, look at that border every day for the next 4 or 5 years, however long before I retire, I'm not going to like to do that. So it's got to be perfect. So, you know, if you make a little mistake sometimes, what are you going to do? Just turn to the sign man. As always, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching this exciting episode of Bob the Sign Man. To learn more about where the Sign Man gets his materials, check out www.bobthesignman.com. Bob the Sign Man Films directs and produces all his videos in the beautiful Napa Valley. As always, thanks for watching.